Absolutely. The Nets do get Blake Griffin. So that's official. He was bought out by the Pistons. Actually cost himself a lot of money. From what I've heard, he cost himself $14 million over the final 2 years. That's what he gave up to be bought out. And I think he gets a mid-level veterans exemption from the Nets, so probably that's about $5 million. So overall, just to get out of the situation in Detroit, he lost $9 million. That's how badly he wanted to get out of there and go to a contender. He certainly is on a contender right now. I mean, if this was like 6 years ago, wow.
Yeah.
They'd have 4 superstars. He's no longer the player that everybody remembers. He's not the high-flying guy. He hasn't dunked in 2 years, but now he's actually developed a three-point shot, has a better handle, and they're a little thin off the bench on the front court, so he gives them that and also gives them some insurance if Kevin Durant doesn't come back in a hurry. And the Nets, the excuses are not there other than the lack of defense, but I think they'll be fine with that. They are locked and loaded to run for a championship. They just are. They're that good.
Well, we mentioned it last week, Michael. What's the negative? How does he hurt? If he doesn't work out, then you let him go.
Yep.
When you bring him in here, it adds a little depth. And that's something you may need if KD is going to be in and out of the lineup or maybe he can't come back. I still think you want to try to win this conference. I think you want home court advantage because it feels like as we get deeper into this season and into the playoffs, I think there'll be enough fans in the building to have an effect. I don't think the buildings will be full in the playoffs, Michael, but I could totally see it maybe being 30, 40%, maybe even 50%. So why wouldn't you want to get that extra home game, that possible Game 7 in your own building?
Yeah, it really isn't that crazy that like all year it could not feel like it's going to matter, and then we get there and all of a sudden you get not only thrown right back into home court, but the most excited, passionate, ready, eager fans that we've ever seen in the NBA because people are going to be so psyched when they finally are able to start filling buildings again.
I think Andrew will be able to answer this better than I could. I know the Flyers were home yesterday and had 2,800 fans. So what is that? That's obviously more than 10%.
Right.
So what would that be, Andrew? Is it 15%?
Probably 15, right?
I think so.
So they jumped right in at 15, and here we are in March. We're still a couple of months away from the playoff. Is it possible that in Brooklyn and in Philadelphia, we're playing in front of 50% capacity?
You know, Don, I was feeling very, very optimistic until the CDC report came out today. I thought that we'd see, by the end of this season, a full house at Citi Field or Yankee Stadium. We're pretty close to it. And the CDC said, even if you're vaccinated, you can hang with other people that are vaccinated indoors, but you cannot be in crowds because you don't know if everybody is vaccinated. So unless they actually ask you for vaccination proof to get into a ballpark or an arena, they're not going to be able. I don't even know if they get to 50%, Don. I thought for sure before I read this thing today. Now, that's not law. Obviously, different municipalities, different states will decide on their own because Texas is going with 100%.
Right.
But the CDC says that they don't know how long the vaccine lasts. They don't know if you can transmit it. They think that you can, and they do not want people crowding together closely until there's herd immunity. And there might not be herd immunity because there's a lot of people that don't want to get the vaccine.
Well, we're going to have to wait and see, right? Right now, Texas is opening it up. No masks, just going all out. So if we fast forward 2 months from now and things are still good, well, then maybe the CDC changes it.
Yeah, maybe.
Now, obviously, if you're pessimistic, we may look back and it becomes a super spreader situation in Texas and we revert back to where we were a couple of months ago, and I'd hate to see that. But the point is that there was a point during the start of the season where we felt it didn't matter if you had home court because you're going to be playing in front of nobody anyway. Well, now you're not going to be playing in front of nobody. Philadelphia's got 2,800 fans. Brooklyn could have as many as 10% based on the New York City ordinance. So we fast forward 2-3 months from now, or in a conference final, because when would the conference final be, Andrew? We're talking 3 months
June.
from now.
Yeah, in June.
So how do we know it's not going to be where you're talking about 10,000 people in the building and it really can have an effect? So Blake Griffin, long story short, can maybe help solidify if KD is going to be out of the lineup for any stretch of time, trying to beat Philadelphia out for the 1 seed.
Now, every year, I mean,